all for coming to the Guest of Honor Q&A with Ursula Vernon, aka T. Kingfisher. I'm just... It sounds like y'all are as happy as I am to be here, so yeah. My name's Marta. I'm basically your captive librarian / interviewer, but what we really care about is Ursula Vernon.
No, I care about librarians. They should not be held captive. They should be allowed to exist in the wild as noble, free creatures.
Every other day of the year, except for the 4 days of Norwescon, I am free. I don't know how noble I am, but I am free. Okay, so now let's do the serious part. Author and illustrator Ursula Vernon, also known as Kingfisher, has been nominated for the Eisner, World Fantasy Awards, Web Cartoonist Choice Awards. She has received the Mythiopoeic Dragon, Locust, Nebula, and Lodestar and Hugo Awards, a few more than once and one even thrice. So when I totaled up the graphic novels, the middle grade titles, the novels, the novellas, the short fiction collections, I hit almost 50.
Yeah, the one that just came out, Wolfworm, is technically 51.
Nice. Woohoo!
Look, some of them were really short.
Now, some of you may not know that T. Kingfisher started as Ursula Vernon with both the webcomic Digger, but also the middle grade series Dragon Breath and Hamster Princess. I have a certain affection, because I work with youth, for Hamster Princess and Dragon Breath. But under T. Kingfisher, and y'all probably know this, she's penned gothic horror, folk horror, retelling of classic stories, such as The Fall of the House of Usher. And so in my opinion, whether it's a hamster who decides she's invincible at age 12, a rose garden without insects, or a mother who puppets her daughters, all of Ursula's creations share a unique, witty, and darkly humorous approach that sets them apart. So now we get
Thank you. That's very kind.
You're welcome. Now we get to find out a little bit more about the magic under the publishing cover, so to speak.
I thought for a second you were about to say the magic under the skin, and I was like, this took a turn.
Well, I kind of feel if we were going to do that, we should issue a content warning.
Fair.
Yeah. Because, body horror, not for everyone.
Especially not the author.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't tell you I was my secret life.
Librarian, vivisectionist. You see how one leads naturally to the other.
Oh, yeah. Especially like if you're going to categorize and organize. Biology is all about the, genus, let's name everything. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of conversation. Then we're going to open it up for y'all. And I apologize because I apparently still can't figure out how to see people. I do believe we have a lovely microphone person. What's your name? Lee. So what you're going to do is raise your hand and ask a question in the microphone when we open that up. That way the folks at home, so to speak, or the folks in the digital world can hear y'all. But first, I have some questions. So you started with comics and children's chapter books and some, I'm just going to say, really memorable and hilariously quirky artwork. And I was wondering what you enjoy about working with the combinations of illustration and text.
Oh, I adore comics. I think, and I don't know why, but the readers will buy in with comics much more readily than they would with a similar amount of text. You can pick up a book, you can leave it alone, but I've always found readers are so much more generous with their attention with comics that, and I don't know why I keep coming. I don't know why readers do that. I know that's why I keep coming back and being like, maybe I'll start a comic project, and then I think, oh, sweet Jesus, it was 800 pages last time. My husband has an order to bury me in the backyard if I ever start another epic webcomic. So, but every now and again, I'm like, maybe if they hired me an illustrator, I would be willing to do the thing. So,
I hope if he buries you in the back, you have a straw.
thank you. I love you forever, dear.
So what's the most memorable aspect of creating books for young people?
Well, the most memorable aspect, the school visits are frequently very memorable, not always in ways one would wish. And you know, I got some truly, you know, heartwarming fan mail of, you know, parents who were like, my kid did not like to read, and I just caught him under the covers with a flashlight with one of your books, and oh my God, this is, you know, everything I've ever hoped for, and you know, that would warm a much darker heart than mine. And then there was the other side, which was I do not have children. I acquired my stepkids when they were already like past that reading age for the most part, or right around it. So I am a very bad judge of what is appropriate for children. And my editor of the children's books and I had some very memorable discussions. Like, if you were at the previous panel, the we cannot solve our problems with arson was a big one. No, impalement is not allowed at any point, things like that. And so the reason I think I started writing books for I started writing books for adults because I was writing things that I thought would be children's books, and then my editor and my agent were both like, you thought this was a kid's book. Wow. And then I was like, I am going to write a book for adults, and I'm going to put everything in it, and no one will stop me. And it turned out that worked pretty well. So yeah, I kept doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot in them. So
this is just a reminder. The latest book that came out is Wolfworm, and it's okay if you skip it. Like,
well,
it's gross.
I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about Wolfworm, if you can do it without spoilers.
Sure. The I don't know if it's spoiler. Bot flies are the central like horror, and if you don't know what a bot fly is,
Do not look it up on the internet.
yes, don't. Unless you have all the images turned off.
Go see a librarian to help you with this search.
Yes, I'm not sure how much
They'll
to
do it for free.
describe about them. They lay eggs and then the larvae burrow under the skin of mammals and drink the fluids and hang out under your skin until they hatch. So I wrote a horror novel about it, and if you don't like horror, I will write lots more fantasy. It's all good. And even if you do like horror, if you can't do bugs, maybe you can sit this one out. It's okay. I will not judge you. I give you absolution for not reading it. It's fine. I was living in North Carolina, and there were all these squirrels, and the squirrels had giant lumps on them, and I was like, what the hell is going on with that? I must know more. And then, you know, about 16, 17 years later, it finally became a book.
My father was an entomologist, so I have a love-hate relationship with creepy bugs.
Was he one of the ones who tried to get his own botfly?
No, he did not try to get his own botfly.
Because I was the entomologist, the very nice entomologist who fact-checked it all for me, was like, yeah, we think those people are weird even by our standards.
Yeah. Now, my dad, not to go off on a tangent, like right after grad school, he got to be this is in the 50s or 60s, I can't remember what year. He got to be part of let's see how mosquito repellent works, what's better, and he got to be the forearms that were tested and bites counted. And I'm just like, you got paid for that?
The impressive thing is not that he got paid for it, it's that he had to go to grad school for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think this was the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah. They play a lesser role in the book, but screwworms, I swear the book was not ripped from the headlines when I wrote it, but if you do not know about the screwworm eradication program, it is one of the great scientific international cooperations. And yay, yes, the people who know are
screwworm fans.
yeah, or fans of the project, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very few people are actual screwworm fans. I'm sure there's a few. Somewhere there's probably a furry who is building a screwworm suit as we speak, and I would like to meet them.
I was thinking maybe there might be some horror people or some making costumes in Hollywood. Let's make a really creepy monster. But,
I'd still like to see the fursuit.
So I'm just kind of curious if that would end up being like a more latex cover or a more plushy cover.
I suppose it would depend on how you did it.
Yeah.
Like if it would be sort of plushy if you were walking around as like a giant warble, but then it would be very hard to explain what you were.
A conversation starter.
Yes, interestingly enough, if you happen to have a botfly, there is a part sticking out, and you might be forgiven for thinking that is the head. No. They are one of the insect groups that can breathe through their anus, so their head is latched into your flesh, actually. I had someone come to a reading who had a botfly. I was so happy to meet them. She did not have it on her. It had been some years earlier, and she's like, yes, they're removing them is excruciating because they're like latched in there. I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
I'm just kind of thinking that they must fart and breathe at the same time.
I don't actually know if...
Do bugs fart?
Yeah, that's my next... That's
Well, you know what?
I don't know.
I think I'm going to have to call the extension agent, their entomologist. We'll do this afterwards.
I know there's
Yeah,
a...
we better
there's
find out.
It might be a kid's book called Does It Fart?
Yeah.
And a friend of mine illustrated that, actually, a great guy, and I don't know if there were botflies in there.
Well, to get to maybe a more palatable topic that
We're all weirdos here.
yeah, I know. For just those people who needed the content warning for the botfly, is you have another book coming out this summer, right?
Yes.
Yes, and this is the second book, and it's kind of sort of a long-awaited book.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Daggerbound, the sequel to Swordheart, and which I was supposed to write much sooner, but it was the pandemic. A lot of things happened, and it turned out it needed my editor basically standing over me and being like, if you don't finish this on time, I will look sad. And I'm like, oh God, no. So I wrote it. I'm working on the third one now, which will hopefully come out next year. And so yes, the Swordheart trilogy will actually exist and rap and all kinds of things.
I think I know, but I want to find out which of the three sword people. Well, we know it's which of the remaining two of the three sword people.
Daggerbound is the dervish.
Yes.
And Shieldborn is Ankharid. And also another poor individual who has showed up. Well, I'm like, you are fascinating. I can't make this a 4-book series. I have to figure out something to do with you, you poor bastard.
I was kind of thinking the dervish would be book 3, but I'm very excited to meet the dervish.
I thought that too, and then I found out I was wrong. That happens a lot with books. With the Sworn Soldier books, I started writing what I thought was book 2, and then I was like, crap, this is book 3. Oh God, the deadline is in like 2 months. I have to write book 2 really fast.
Those are a lot of fun, though, because you can actually read them out of order.
You can, yes,
Which,
absolutely.
I mean, okay, there's some people who want to binge a series from 1 to 20. And then there's some people who are like, okay, I want to start this series, but I mean, hey, well, I'll just do this one. It's available. And that happens all the time at the library. And that's one of the cool things about that series is that you can just kind of pick it up anywhere. And, well, maybe not in the middle of the book, but and enjoy it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And the only real difference is that Alex's PTSD gets worse with every book because terrible things keep happening to them.
Alex isn't claustrophobic at all.
No.
No, not at all.
Very clear on that.
Very clear. Not claustrophobic. Just a little panicky.
If you're claustrophobic, the third book might be a little brutal, so be warned.
There's also some other creepy things.
Yeah, but it's the claustrophobia. Everyone came back was like, I could handle all the monsters one up. The claustrophobia got to me. I'm like, oh, I'm very sorry.
The claustrophobia and the mind stuff is really good.
I thank you. I did a lot of research into coal mining in the 1800s. Under no circumstances should you ever be a coal miner in the 1800s. Just avoid that if at all possible. I had to keep a chart open of the different kinds of mine gases and whether they were explosive, flammable, or no, they were explosive, poisonous, or both. And it was eye-opening in a bad way.
Yeah. It's. I don't think coal mining's too healthy now. But, yeah.
No, but it's better. Like
It's much better.
There are unions and ventilation systems.
Yeah, rather than just having a canary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, there is several examples in museums of canary resuscitators because the miners loved the canaries like they were their pets. And if one went down, they had a little resuscitating device. They would go up to the surface and basically give the canary what amounted to CPR with this device until it revived. So.
Well, you think about it, the canary is what kept them alive. So it's like having, a loyal dog that you treat well. I mean, that doesn't necessarily bark. But, yeah. So I want to open things up for everybody. But before we do that, I'm trying to decide what to ask you next because there's so many cool things I can. But one of the things that has struck me in reading your books is that a lot of your characters are just everyday people who are they're trying to be practical. And even if they're sworn soldiers, even if they're have had their soul stolen and put in a sword, As
one does.
Yeah, as one does. Even if they're just like, okay, I gotta have, I gotta go stay at mom's house where creepy grandma was, because I don't have an apartment for the summer for reasons. It's like there's this element of practicality and like everyday human. And I was kind of wondering, why is that the type of character you're drawn to?
I think having to spend time in the characters' heads and all, that's sort of the sort of person I am to a certain extent. But also the thing that annoys me the most in books, like if you want me to throw a book across the room, 100%, is when everybody tells the character, don't do that thing, and they're like, you can't tell me what to do, and immediately run out and do the thing. And I'm just like, no, you just got there. Everyone has been here a lot longer. They know what's going on. You deserve to be eaten by the monster, fall in a pit, whatever. And
Exploded with gas.
What was that?
Exploded with mine gas.
Exactly, exploded with mine gas. And so I think just since the earliest stuff I was writing, the comic Digger, it was just the character who was like, let us figure out the most logical and practical way to go about this. And also, being me, I mean, how many of us, we have had the conversation of, okay, you've been given the ring of power, what do you do now? And I was always like, well, you immediately encase it in concrete so that you cannot put it on accident. And for some reason, a lot of people just wanted to talk about sending the Eagles to Mordor and did not want to cover why the One Ring should be encased in a brick. So, yes, I've gotten distracted. What were we talking about?
I think we could put it in concrete with one of those little like pieces of rebar, and then they could take it with the eagle claws.
Oh yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah, but I have no idea what the melting point of concrete is.
Oh, I'm sure it would be fine.
Okay, thank you. I knew there'd be somebody who had geotechnical knowledge in this room. So practical. And the other thing that has struck me is you take aspects of the ordinary, like Southern hospitality, resentment of family members, and turn it into horror. And how do you get from that spark to, I'm trying not to spoil something, but to like, oh my God, this stuff's coming to get me?
It's I do what the editor of many of my self-published books refers to as you did the thing. And the thing is that you would be like, how the hell did you come up with this? And I'm like, it was all very logical. And the example that I like to use is in one of the Paladin books, there is a creepy rabbit hive mind. And the rabbit, I started with, okay, I would like a creature that, they should have a encounter something interesting, but not, necessarily hostile. And I was thinking, I default to rabbits a lot. I loved Watership Down as a child. But I was thinking, okay, everybody does bees as a hive mind, but rabbits live in a warren and in a large group. They might make a pretty good hive mind too, Like, okay, that would be interesting. And then I was like, okay, so, but they need to talk, and if they know the humans around them and they want to set up like trade networks, one of them would have to be able to talk to humans. And I didn't want to deal with telepathy because telepathy is a pain in the ass. And I'm like, so one of the rabbits would have to be able to talk, but the throats of rabbits and the throats of humans are very different, and so you would need to grow a fair amount of extra bits and some stuff in the lips and whatnot to make that work. And then I was like, but then you'd get a little top heavy because there's and so by the end of it, I had a scene where the rabbit hive mind just drags out this sort of horribly deformed rabbit that can speak human, but it because the major vocalization rabbits make is the screaming, it has this horrible dying rabbit scream that sounds like a human, and you see how I got there at every stage of the way. It was completely logical, and I'm trying to explain this to my editor. It's like, no, yes, it was logical, I get that. You did the thing.
It's screaming.
Yeah, and that one, I realized I'd gone a little far because even the characters are just like, what the fuck? This is not okay. Okay, yeah.
See, I probably would have said, oh, they just communicate by thumping their back
I didn't
feet.
even think of that.
I would have stopped at Bambi.
You ever read the original Bambi?
No.
Okay, so those of you who have the original Bambi
No spoilers.
by Felix Salten, it's astounding that was what Disney picked to modify. It is a messed up book. It has a crazed deer prophet that was wildlife rescuers saved it, so it's convinced humans are God, and leads them all its followers out onto the hunting the first day and gets shot, and the culmination is the Prince of the Forest shows Bambi a dead poacher and is like, they die too.
Oh,
it is a really weird book. I recommend it highly, but not for children.
So let's turn this open to the audience, and we have the lovely Lee, who will bring over the microphone to you. So just pop your hand in the air, because I'm doing that. I can't. I think there's 3 people out there.
Also, get real close to the microphone.
Yes.
It has a very short.
Yeah.
range.
So the trick is to kind of see how that is. Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
So after the trilogy and the Paladin series is done, do you have any other plans in the world of the White Rat, or are you going to leave it for a while?
It's probably going to be so long until the Paladin book is done, the Paladin series is done, that I don't know. I'm working on the 5th book now. I have sort of an idea that one of the other minor character paladins, Jorge, who just keeps showing up in the background, I'm like, I really want to give him his own book, but not as part of the Paladin series, because I have sort of a story arc in mind for that. So there are definitely other things I would like to do in it. I won't swear that I won't take a break after I finish, book 7 of the series. I may be like, oh, sweet Jesus. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff I would like to do. It's an interesting world, and I keep finding like new bits to it, and making broad statements that later will come back to bite me in the ass as I realize I have to integrate that into the book somehow.
Would these all be within the romance genre, or would you go somewhere with less trope?
I don't know. It would really it would depend on what I was in the mood for at the time, I think.
Well, and they're kind of more romantic fantasy, because it's a little balanced. Yeah.
I like to think so.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I think you accomplished it, but what do I know? There's some more people, I think, who, yeah.
Hi, huge fan. Thank you for writing 50 plus books.
Yay, thank you.
And also thank you for writing, your protagonists often have big bodies, and it's not a thing. They're middle-aged. It's not a thing. So thank you for that. But my question is this. Dyslexic in the house here. Most of your work I've listened to through audiobooks with remarkable narrators. I was just wondering, do you also listen to that? Are you a part of that process at all?
It's actually very hard for me to listen to audiobooks of my own stuff. It's not, and usually the narrators are fantastic, but it's like kind of weird and intense, and also I have like terrible audio processing stuff, so I will get distracted like a quarter of the way into something and be like, oh, look over there, a squirrel, and then I come back to the book and someone's been assassinated and I have no idea what's going on, so I don't do a lot of audiobooks, but I will tell you that I listened, LeVar Burton read one of my short stories on his podcast, and I was like, oh my God, it's LeVar Burton, I need to listen to this, but I would listen to it for about 5 minutes, and then I would have to stop because I would just go, oh my God, LeVar Burton's reading my thing. So, yes, it was. And but I do usually about 3/4 of the time I get to pick the narrators. They will send me like, here are 3 narrators, pick one. Although occasionally they'll just be like, here's the narrator. I'm like, okay. The UK has a tendency to just be like, here's your narrator, suck it up. But I have a little input, but not always a ton. It's kind of like covers. Sometimes I have a lot of input, and sometimes it's like, here's your cover. Like, okay, can my name be bigger? No? All right.
And AI, yay or nay for audio. Thank you.
I mean, the covers from Tor are amazing. They're
yes.
I mean, they're horrific, but they're lush. They're like a Caravaggio is what I'm thinking of.
Christina Mrozek does most of the cover art, and they are fantastic. I bought the original of What Moves the Dead with the rabbit and the fungus, and was like, I must have this. And so, yes, it's, and then I was like, I had to like convince the editor to give me the cover artist contact info. I'm like, no, I want to buy something. I don't want to yell. Because Art Director's very committed to being the, buffer in between. I'm like, I promise I will never talk to them about a painting. Just, I really need that.
It's gorgeous. I mean, when I saw the book, I was like, oh, I wonder if you can get prints.
I think you quite possibly can, but yeah, no, I'm convinced that cover is the reason that the series did so. People saw the first one, like, what the hell is this? And picked it up, and I know it did a great job.
Well, we have a couple more people in the back, but then I want to circle around to something related to that. So let's see, there was...
I'm over here.
Okay.
Hello. Our fantasy book club just finished 9 Goblins, and we all want more in that area, especially with the goblins or the elf. Is there any plan to write more for that?
Well, I had started to write a Sings to Trees story and how he fell in with an orcish berserker poet. And but then I was like halfway through that and was like, wait a minute, God damn it, this is a 3rd book. I need to go write the 2nd book so that they have somewhere to go. And so I have part of a goblin book, basically, that I will shoehorn into the schedule at some point. A lot of times with the novellas, my editor's just like, what novella do you have? Just tell me, and I will shove it into the publishing schedule wherever it goes. And I'll be like, I have this thing. So,
Do you ever stop writing? Well, I mean, I know you garden and have pets.
oh yeah. No, I and play a lot of video games. No,
Yeah.
I get up, I write, well, first I stagger around the house and look at social media and swear and, wait
As
for
you
my
should.
wait for my ADHD meds to kick in, and then I will sit down and write usually I have to do 1,000 words. Usually it's frequently 12, 13. Sometimes on a great day I'll crack 2,000, and as long as I do that at least 4 days a week, I don't drop the spinning plates. But then they send me on book tour or whatnot, and they're like, "Can you do this tour?" I'm like, "Do you want the book or not? You can send me on a tour. You can have the book. This is an either or choice."
Yeah, I was kind of wondering how with like ADHD, keeping the spinning plates in the air at the same time you're doing a book tour, at the same time you're dealing with, I got to update the website and all the things. I mean, I know you have a very capable assistant, but still, I mean, when you're on a tour like this, it's you. You can't have, yeah.
Oh yeah, and I for a long time I would take my laptop with me because I had this delusion that I would totally write in the hotel room. I never once wrote let me rephrase that. I wrote in the hotel room once when due to a fire in the air traffic control computers in Chicago, I was trapped in Springfield, Illinois or maybe Ohio, or whichever one Lincoln was from. And I was trapped there for 2 extra days. And then I actually did some writing. That's only happened once in many, many years. And finally I was like, why am I carrying this extra 5 pounds in my backpack?
Well, I was going to say, it sounds like you were imprisoned at that point.
I can't say that town had a lot to recommend it for a pedestrian
So
who...
of course you had to write.
Yes.
You had to take a hit for the team.
Yeah, also the temperature plummeted about 40 degrees, and I was dressed for the first kind, so I actually did have to go to the Lincoln Museum to buy a hoodie.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was like, I walk in, I'm like, look, I just want to go to the gift shop. I'm very sorry. I know you care about Lincoln a lot, but I'm freezing to death. Please, can I just go to the gift shop and get a hoodie? And they were like, okay, sure.
That's the best part of museums and galleries, the gift shop.
Also, for some weird reason, they were selling pet rocks, and they had the Lincoln pet rock, and then they had the John Wilkes Booth pet rock. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, this is too soon.
I mean, maybe it's for throwing it at something? I don't know.
It had googly eyes.
Oh, that's just wrong. So I was going to say, do we have some more? There's somebody in the back who I think has had their hand up for a while. And with the hat, yeah.
Hi, I work in a public library, and the Temple of the White Rat reminded me of the best version of what libraries are often trying to do: practical care, filling gaps left by broken systems, and helping people in ordinary ways. Was it important to you to make that kind of everyday logistical care feel sacred?
I think I wound up going at it from the other direction, where I needed a place that solved problems, and I was like, well, ideally, a church should. If you were a God who actually wanted to help people, you would solve problems, right. and then I was like, so of course you would employ social workers and organizers and people with lots of executive function, and then lawyers basically popped up, and I have a number of lawyer friends online who are like, this is the only book I've ever read, a fantasy novel I've ever read, where lawyers are allowed to be good guys, and I'm like, no, most of the ones I know are great. So it just became sort of a repository of, if I was a god and I wanted to help people, but I only had so much power, what would I do? And it would be, community organizing writ large, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And I've had people going, "I wish this existed in real life." Oh God, so do I.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, because essentially it's like legal aid for the secondary world, and anybody who has any dealings with legal aid in the real world knows that they're understaffed, overworked, and can't take on everything.
yeah, and
Which the white rat can't, but at the same time, they try to see everybody to see what they can do.
yeah. And in the sort of prosperous area, I have one that's doing very well, and it was sort of important for me to in one of the Paladin books, they go to one that is completely overwhelmed. It's just like, normally we start out by making sure that everyone has immediate medical care and is fed, and then we go on to like housing and whatnot, and we have been stuck at getting everyone fed for like the last 100 years because this place is terrible. And I'm like, that sometimes that is what it is like. So I really wanted to present, the sort of practical organizing that actually gets a lot of things done, as opposed to, the divine right of kings sort of fiat.
Well, and it's interesting because one of the things about like a lot of the more optimistic sci-fi or fantasy is they'll talk about like, okay, we overcame this stuff and now this is the cool thing we have. And you and a few other writers are showing like, here's how community building happens. Here's how we have the tough conversations. And that, I think, is a really cool thing to be bringing to the genre. Because, I mean, we contain multitudes as fans and as communities. So I really appreciate seeing that, too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one thing that I think we do a lot of, as certainly fantasy is rife with that, and also science fiction, is the one person saves the world.
Yeah.
And A, no one person is going to save the world, and B, those of us who are the one person are like intensely guilty that we have not saved the world. It's like, I should be able to fix the whole thing because surely I should, because all the books I absorbed as a child, you just had to go throw the one ring in the volcano. I could do that. And so it's important to have books that show, how that sort of thing really does get fixed, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, I thought there was somebody in the row over here. Was there more in the back, or? Okay, so we've got a couple up here.
Over here, yeah.
And I think a couple over here, or somebody's just scratching their hair. I'm not sure.
Sorry, who's scratching? Who's okay?
Ooh, raise your hands if you want a question
Yeah, hands up, please.
to help us.
Okay, hands up.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
and then whoa.
I wondered if you had any interesting or unusual desk tools or tchotchkes.
I don't know how interesting it is or really unusual, but I usually have a stack of magic cards that when I'm stuck, I like organize by color so I can file them. I do the thing where I will reward myself, like, all right, you did word count today, and no one died, and you get to crack open a pack of magic cards, and it is a nice sort of dopamine rush at the end of the day. So I will, when a set comes out, frequently I will buy a box once it is at the cheapest possible point, and then stash it in the closet and be like, all right, today I need to open some Bloomborough so that I don't choke someone.
I'm just curious, when you say nobody died, we're not talking characters, right?
No.
Family members, mailmen.
Yeah, random
Dogs.
strangers. The dog is usually safe.
Okay. I
but,
thought it was, but I just thought I'd check.
My dog is lovely, and she is also the most self-centered animal I've ever owned. It's very strange having a dog like that, because dogs are usually, your noble, selfless friend who wants to please you, and this dog is just like, what? Yes, I am walking away with the loaf of bread from the counter. I wanted it. Why?
She's the dog cat.
It's the complete lack of shame. Like, there's no guilt and no shame in that dog, and which is baffling as a longtime dog owner.
Yeah. Maybe she's your secret horror in real life.
Nah.
Nah.
The farts are pretty pernicious. I'll be honest.
All right.
I thought there was some over there, yes.
You've mentioned Watership Down a couple of times, which I also read the first time when I was 9. When I went looking for more by the same author, I found Plague Dogs, and I wondered if you had read that or had any thoughts.
Yes, but I've tried to blot it out as much as possible. That, whew. If you have not read it, consider picking up Bambi instead. However, one that I did find around that age was Tad Williams' Tail Chaser's Song, which I adore utterly, and is like, everybody knows the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn books, and I swear his first sort of vanished without a trace, but it is fantastic. It is like Watership Down, but cats, and also Get In, Losers, We Are Going to Hell. It is a lot of fun, and I read it until my copy fell apart. Fortunately, I had just moved in with my husband, and his copy still had the covers somewhat intact. So,
Yeah, that's a hard one to keep in print. I don't know why, because it's great. I mean, I kind of consider it a classic.
yeah. Oh, you of course, you're a librarian. Of course you know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And it's also a great, because Tad Williams's series are so engulfing that it's a good read to get to have a Tad Williams fix, but not have to spend the next 10 years having a Tad Williams life. All respect to him.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
I started both Otherland and Memory,
Yeah.
Sorrow, and Thorn as they were coming out, and yeah.
I was really upset when the third book got split into 2 paperbacks. I was like, what? They did this just to bother me. So.
I bought the hardback full size when it came out. I was that into it.
Yeah, but also you could beat someone to death with that.
Yeah,
So.
I got it from the library, but I was a broke college student or journalist. I can't remember. It was right in that time frame. Let's see. I thought there was a few more questions.
Yeah, we've got one more over here.
Yeah.
Hi. You've mentioned a couple times this afternoon that you've been writing a book and all of a sudden said, oh, this is not the second book, this is the third book. What is it about the story or the point that kind of signals that?
I think it's like the point where I need something to have already been set up that, particularly when with like novellas, it tends to happen a lot more with novellas, I think, is I've just realized I need to set up a thing, but there is not space in this 40,000 words to set up the thing I have to do. So it has to occur somewhere else, and it is an interesting enough concept, whatever it is, that I can't just go, and then that thing happened. Because the readers will go, wait, go back, tell me how that thing happened. And I'm like, oh man, that's a whole story itself, isn't it? So it's usually like a sort of necessity. Okay, I need to go back and do that thing. With the sword books, it wasn't so much that as just I had no idea what order they were supposed to be in, and I started both of them and then was like, no, this one's definitely first, I think, and this one has to come third. Okay. But I don't think I would have known that unless I had actually started the books. Some people outline. Those people are lovely. Some of them are my friends. I do not yell cowards at them, but I am the person who just jumps off the cliff and hopes that I right the parachute by the time I hit bottom.
But I'm thinking that like stumbling into the third book is helpful if you're writing organically, because then you know where you're going, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
definitely.
that seems like that would be really helpful. We've got a question back here. Yes.
Just curious, you mentioned that you play a lot of video games. What are you playing right now?
Lately, I've been honestly doing a lot of like base builders. So I really enjoy Whiskerwood, and I loved Subnautica when it came out, and still revisit occasionally. I don't dare start Civilization again because I do have several books due. I have not been in a super like story mode for a bit, but when I feel like I need to read something with an epic storyline, or play something with an epic storyline. I really enjoyed, some of the Dragon Age games, Baldur's Gate 3, obviously, and I really like the Borderlands games, things like that. So yeah. Oh yes, I just started Pokopia, the Pokemon Animal Crossing sort of thing, and I still play Pokemon Go. Don't judge me; some of you in this room do too. And
Let's see. Do we have? Yes, there's a in mid row.
Mid row here. Yeah.
Obviously, your books have a very strong fantasy and kind of fairy tale feel to them. A lot of them do. And I was just curious, I'm not even going to ask Team Anderson versus Grimm, but did you have a favorite fairy tale when you were growing up?
Yes, I really liked Bluebeard.
Oh.
I was a very normal child. Shut up. But the thing that got me sort of really back into fairy tales was, because I had read some growing up as a kid, and then, you go on, and I read, I think, every Star Trek novel ever written. But I had this job in St. Paul, Minnesota. I was on the street light outage hotline. And
I'm so sorry.
Yes, that is exactly as boring as you think it would be. Enlivened every now and again with someone who would call to demand to know why the streetlights would shut off as they approached. Were we tracking them, or were they the Messiah? That's why I have a manager. I was just like, let me send this up the chain. But these were in the days before they logged our computer usage. And so I would work like 4 10-hour shifts, and everyone would go home, and I would sit there on the hotline and pull up the Folktales website at the University of Pittsburgh collection. I would just read them, and I don't know how I stumbled over that. This was in the days of web rings, but and they would just have every single version of a fairy tale, and I got really back into them, and I still like Bluebeard, not gonna lie. My first marriage was fine.
How's the second doing?
It's too small a house. He could not keep a room full of bodies, even if he wanted to. And also, I'm the one who has to dispatch injured mice and things, so it's much more likely that I would actually have the room full of bodies, and yeah.
And bodies don't really decompose as quickly in the desert as they do in the
No, it's very true, they don't.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I always used to swear when I lived in North Carolina that if I wanted to get rid of a body, the easiest thing to do is just drop it 10 feet off a major road, and odds are good no one will find it for 20 years. Mm-hmm. But if I really wanted to make sure, I would put it in a hog sewage lagoon, on the principle that if the FBI wants to send a diver and they find it, they have earned it. I will go quietly at that point.
Do we have more questions? Yes.
Too late. I have the mic already. Hi. I'm going to see if I can get this out properly because I'm really starstruck. I've been a huge fan of your brain for many, many years.
It's all good. Take your time.
So you've mentioned at the previous panel your compulsion, I would say affectionately, to kind of red pen check where you see, I could do this better. I just want to toss this out there. Would you ever consider a special edition, let's say, of any of your works that are fully annotated with all the notes and tangents you couldn't fit into the version that your editor wanted to publish? Because I think there's a non-zero number of people in this room who would buy the hell out of that.
Man, I occasionally there will be the fancy editions, like Broken Binding does some lovely ones and whatnot, and they want me to write a thing at the end, and I'm always like, what sort of thing are you talking about? I can tell as far as I can do this better. I think a large chunk of my writing for adults life started when I played the game Neverwinter Nights 2, because yes, I am old, and I was like, that is not how you write a paladin. I will show you how you write a paladin. I did not expect it to end up quite where it did, but hey, I got a good few books out of it.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. Does anybody have any burning questions?
Got one over here.
Yeah, a couple over there. Yay, thank you.
Where did you get the inspiration specifically for like the gnolls?
I honestly, I don't know. It was like one of those things where I was writing a scene and they had to meet somebody, and I was like, I don't want to be human. I haven't seen anthropomorphic badgers done. Let me try that. And I started there, and I did not expect them to like take over as much as they have, but they were fascinating, and I just kept adding more weird bits to their society, and that worked out right up until the current book, where there is a chunk that is from a gnoll's point of view, and all of the checks I wrote in other books I have to cash suddenly. And so yeah, I have like 4 books open to various parts going, did I say anything about that? Okay. Let me write this other bit. Oh God. Yeah, I have occasionally not really written myself into a corner, but made a lot of work for myself by being like, this is cool, I'll just say that. And then a couple books later being like, what the hell was I thinking?
A gnoll does not make enough money for this.
It's true, and the gnoll in Marcus's book that I'm working on refers to itself as a dead gnoll does not, yeah, so it's there's some stuff going on.
I'm placing a hold on that as soon as I can. We had another one up front, right?
Last
or
questions?
in the mid? I'm not sure. Was there?
Anyone else? Yeah, if there's no.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I will say that in Daggerbound we get yet another sort of alien or not non-human species, and
nice.
I'm very excited for everyone to meet her.
I think you live in New Mexico. I read that on a jacket. right?
Yes.
Red or green chili?
I go green chili. My husband goes Christmas every time.
Excellent.
There's balance in your household.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I was kind of wondering, because you went from a very wet, humid climate, and you're a very avid gardener, and now you're in New Mexico, and that's a very different climate to be gardening. How have you adapted?
Honestly, I love it, because the biggest problem with North Carolina was keeping the garden under control. And now, like, I can go away to Norwescon, and when I come back, the weeds will be an inch high. They will not be hip high. And so I don't need a machete at any point. And it's honestly, it's very nice in a lot of ways. I have been enjoying it. The only bad side is that our growing season is very short because we are high desert. So they're like, no, you start your tomatoes 2 months before you plant them out, and you plant them out on Mother's Day. And I'm like,
yep.
Good God. Yeah.
I would also like to mention,
That's my husband.
Yes, that a lot of the gardening and a lot of the success was brought about by a wonderful native plant specialist named Andrew, who has been invaluable in helping design everything, set everything up. I don't want to like. I just feel very protective of him for some reason, because he works so hard and is so earnest, and
He
everybody
is
thinks
too
you do all this
sweet
work.
and pure for this world, and I love him. And he used to work in Colorado. He actually came down, and some fans of mine who were in Colorado are like, "Wait, did you hire Andrew? Okay, you must protect him." And yes, he's very sweet. Since the chemo, I can't really dig holes anymore. The radiation cooked my right pec pretty good, but he will dig all the holes. He is death on tumbleweeds. If you happen to be in New Mexico and need a garden dude, please, I can't single-handedly pay his rent.
Well, wow. Was it a prickly pear?
No, it was a yucca, but it was one of the pointy ones.
Oh, that's not good.
Like I used to think I loved plants. No, not.
Well, how about we close this out with, if you were to cosplay one of your characters, who would you be?
Well, there's lots that would be like ease of cosplay that.
Anything goes. Somebody else is making the costume.
Oh, somebody
for
else
you.
is making the costume. I would be like, how good a null suit can you make? But I might have to go for a wombat suit, though. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Ursula for being a fabulous interviewer. And y'all for having fantastic.
And please allow me to thank Marta for being a fantastic interviewer.
Thank you. And I also, can we give an applause to our fantastic tech crew, because we would not be able to do this. Yeah. So, yes. All righty. I think we're pretty wrapped up. Yeah. Where are you going to be next?
It's on the back of this thing. Let me look. If you were looking at my schedule earlier and found nothing, they have hopefully updated the app with that. Next, at 4 p.m., I will be at That's Not How This Works, That's Not How Any of This Works. And
what room is that in? Cascade?
Evergreen 1
Evergreen
and 2.
1. Okay. Thank you again.
Thank you all.